other than this, students, it is also very important to keep genital areas clean. And if we talk about the girls, so girls should take special care of their cleanness during the time of menstrual flow, as they should keep track of their menstrual cycle and be prepared on the onset of this menstruation. So all these precautions, if you take care all these precautions, you can also maintain your good health. Other than this, students, physical exercise is also very important at the age of adolescence, as it is also very important for every stage of life, but at the age of adolescence, physical exercises are more important. Boys and girls should more participate in the outdoor games like basketball, football, cricket. Other than this, they should play a more outdoor games. Now, other than this, walking and playing in fresh air keeps the body fit and healthy. All the young boys and girls should walk, they should do lot of exercises, and other than this, as earlier we have talked about the outdoor games, they should play these games. So these physical exercises can maintain your good health. Now, say no to drugs. As students, adolescence is a period of much activity in the body and mind. That is a part of normal growing up. As students, we have discussed that at this stage there is a lot of changes takes place inside the body. There are different kinds of hormonal changes. There is a changes in the shape of the body. There is a changes in emotional activity. So sometimes because of all these changes in the body, an adolescent may feel insecure. They do not feel comfortable because of that. So students, if someone says and they sometimes they do not feel relief, so and if someone advise you to take some kind of drugs, so please do not take all these kind of drugs unless it is advised by your doctor. As students, drugs are the chemical substances that produce physical, mental, behavioral changes in the user. So use of drug for purposes other than the medical is called the drugs abuse. So we should it is highly advisable to not to say yes to drugs, say no to any kind of drugs, as it is unless it is advised by your doctor. As drugs are the addictive, if you take these drugs again and again, it can may harm to your body. It can sometimes you may feel like taking them again and again, because for the some time you can feel relief from all these drugs, but we should avoid all these drugs. As why? Because they can harm their body in the long run. They can also ruin your health and happiness for a long run. So because of all these abuses, we should avoid all these kind of drugs unless if it is advised by the doctor. So it was all about the drug abuse. Other than this, students, you must have heard about the deadly disease that is called the AIDS, and which is caused by the dangerous virus HIV, that is human immune deficiency virus. So this virus can pass on to the normal person from an infected person by sharing the syringes. So whenever you go to any clinic, please check the syringe that your doctor is using, because it can be easily transmitted if you are using a syringe that is infected by the person that is the person who is infected by AIDS. If you are using that syringe, this can transmit it to the other persons also. Now, other than this, we should sometimes it can also be transmitted through the sexual contact with a person infected with HIV. Sometimes it can also be transmitted from mother to an infant by the time of feeding. So we should also take care of all these kind of diseases. We should also avoid all these kinds of drugs, because of a good reproductive health. So what we have discussed here, we should take a nutritional diet. The diet should be balanced. It should contain all the components of nutrients like proteins, vitamins, fats, carbohydrates, minerals, and all the dietary fibers. And what we have seen that Indian diet, like in Indian meal, is a good component of all the nutrients, as it includes carbohydrate in the form of rice, chapati, proteinaceous food. It also includes proteinaceous food like dal, vegetable. It also includes curries, vegetables, and different kinds of salads. So students, we should at the age of adolescence, because at this stage growth is very fast, adolescents feel more hungry, so they should eat these balanced diet. And they should also avoid all the kind of junk food, because they do not contain all the kind of nutrient components. Other than this, we should also take care of our personal hygiene, that we should take because of increased activity of sweat glands and the sebaceous gland, we can get adolescent get more sweating, so because of that bacteria can get multiply. So avoiding all these personal hygiene, we should and other than this, we should also keep our genital areas clean. Other than this, girls should also be prepared for the onset of menstruation. So all these are about the personal hygiene. Other than this, adolescents should more involve in the physical exercises, outdoor games, so that their body can get fit. They should walk in the fresh air. Other than this, they should also avoid these kind of drugs. They should avoid the drugs abuse, as they sometimes we feel insecure, but you should know that it is a part of growing up. Now you are growing up from child to an adult, so because of that all these changes takes place inside our body, but because of that you should not feel insecure, and instead you should enjoy this period, because this is the period when brain has a greatest capacity of learning. So we can learn a lot of new activities at this stage. So students, it was all about the lesson reaching at the age of adolescence. Now students, let us take a quick revision of this chapter. As students, if we as earlier we have started with the reproduction in animals. So what we have discussed, that living organisms reproduce because of their maintenance of species on this earth. But what we have seen, that it starts only growing up at a certain age. So why it happens? So because of the role of hormone takes, what is the role of these hormones? These hormones brings the changes inside the human body that make the child to become an adult, and it also make the child to leads to a age of reproductive maturity. Other than this, we have talked about the adolescence and puberty. That what is adolescence? It is the transition period from child to an adulthood, and at the onset of puberty all the secondary sexual characteristics takes place. A father can biologically become a boy can biologically ready to become a father, and girl may also become biologically ready to become a mother. So it was all about the onset of adolescence and puberty. Other than this, at this stage there are a lot of changes takes place inside the body of adolescent. Like if we talk about the sudden growth in height, so what happens there? There is a bones of arms and legs get elongate and make the person tall. Sometimes body doesn't look in proportion, but because of there is but what happens after some time, it catch up the growth and body looks in the proportion. Other than this, there is we can see the changes in body shape. Like the if we talk about the boys, so their chest becomes more wider, their shoulders become more broader. In girls, a region below the waist becomes more wider. We can see other facial hair growth, mustaches, beard. So these are the secondary sexual characteristics of boys, and in girls breast development takes place. So all these are the changes takes place during the puberty. Other than this, voice change, as the larynx or voice box get increases in the boys, so because of that only boys gets the deeper voice, and sometimes we can hear the crack and break sound in voice at the initial stage, so it also becomes normal after some time. Other than this, we have discussed about the development of sex organs. So at this stage, development of male and female reproductive organ also takes place. And in male, it includes pair of testes, sperm ducts, and penis. In girls, it includes pair of ovaries and oviduct, fallopian tube, or a uterus. So all these are the development at the age of sex organs. Other than this, we have also seen the very important role of hormones, as we have discussed about the role of sex hormones. So what are the hormones? These are the chemical substances, and what is its role? It brings the changes that makes the human being adolescent to become active, leads to a reproductive maturity. So these are the testes and ovaries. These are the endocrine glands which stimulates through pituitary glands to release the hormone testosterone in boys, and in girls estrogen and progesterone. Now other than this, there are other hormones which have also a very important role in our body. As earlier we have discussed about the pituitary gland. So it is a master gland. Why? Because it controls the activity of other endocrine glands. And what is its location? It is located at the base of the brain, and the hormone releases from the pituitary glands is thyroid stimulating hormone and growth hormone. Then we have discussed about the thyroid gland. So thyroid gland what is its location? It is located at the base of the throat and releases the hormone thyroxine, which regulates the body temperature and also helps in the development of body. Other than this, we have discussed about the adrenal gland, that is also called the emergency gland, and its location is nearby the kidney, and it releases the hormone adrenaline, that is called the fight or flight hormone. Why? Because it prepares us to fight in that situation. Most potentially it is at the dangerous situation. Other than this, we have also discussed about the pancreas. It is located near the liver and releases the hormone insulin that regulates the blood sugar level in the body. Then other than those, the testes and ovaries, those are the endocrine glands which are responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in male and female. Now what are the characteristics of these hormones? So these are the chemical secretions of endocrine gland, and they are very specific in functions, and the organs which respond to these hormones are called the target glands. Other than this, we need it in a very minute quantity, and these are the proteinaceous substance. Now other than this, we have also discussed about the metamorphosis. So what is the role of hormones in the process of metamorphosis? There we have discussed about the metamorphosis in insects and frogs. There we have seen that the phases of the various changes in their life takes place because of the metamorphosis, and in the frog the hormone thyroxine is responsible for the metamorphosis in frogs. Now we have also discussed about the reproductive phase of life in humans. So what we have discussed, that reproductive, if once it starts in males, it lasts for a longer period of time, but in females it starts at the age of puberty, and one ovum releases from the ovary, and after 28 to 30 days, and when it is fertilized with the sperm, that leads to the pregnancy. But when it does not fertilize, it is shed off with the thickened line of uterus, ovum, and some blood vessels. So this bleeding is this leads to a bleeding in women, and is called the menstruation. And when it stops, it stops at the age of 45 to 50. That is called the menopause. Other than this, we have discussed about the determination of sex. So what we have seen that the how would we know that developing baby inside the mother's womb will become a boy or girl? So what we have seen there, that chromosomes, these are a thread-like structure which carries information in the form of genes that determine the sex of the boys and girls. So there are in the 23 pairs. So one set of pair is called the sex chromosomes. So in girls, these are in XX pair, and in males it is in XY pair. And when a ovum and the gametes produces from the male and female reproductive organ contains only one chromosome, as in female X, and male it is sperm can contain X chromosome or can contain Y chromosome. So when an ovum fertilizes with the sperm that contains X chromosome, the developing baby will become a girl. But when a ovum fertilizes with the sperm that contains X chromosomes, the developing baby will become a boy. So other than this, students, what we have discussed? We have discussed about the reproductive health. So as earlier, firstly we had known about the health. What is health? So it includes the mental, physical and social well-being, and it includes nutritional food and personal hygiene, good habits and physical exercises. So as we have discussed that adolescence is a rapid mental and physical growth. It is the stage when rapid mental and physical growth takes place. So because of that, adolescents need more nutritional food. That is essential. It is tremendously required to take a more nutritional food. So their diet should be a balanced diet, and it should be a carefully planned, and it includes all the components of nutrients like protein, vitamin, fat, carbohydrate, minerals and other dietary products, vitamins, so that adolescents can get all the nutrient products at the time of food eating. And if we talk about the Indian diet, so it includes all the components of the nutrients. Now we have discussed about the personal hygiene. So girls and boys both has to take care of their personal hygiene, because at this time sebaceous gland and sweat glands are more active, so they feel more sweating, and because of more sweating, bacteria multiplies rapidly, and they can feel the odor because of that. So they should bath at least once in a day. Other than this, they should also clean their genital areas. Girls should also be alert at the time of menstruation, so that because of caring of all these, they can take care of their personal hygiene. Other than this, we should avoid all these kind of drugs and different deadly virus that causes the disease AIDS. So we should as if we talk about the drugs, so sometimes if it is not advised, drugs you are taking that is not prescribed or advised by the doctor for the relief, this can be a drugs abuse. So we should avoid all these things, and we should also take care of disease that is AIDS, that is caused by the virus HIV. So how can we avoid all these? Because of it transmitted from used syringes, it can be transmitted from the mother to the infant, and it can also be transmitted through sexual contact. So we should avoid all these things, and we should enjoy that adolescence age. Thank you.
No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes, or missing classes for rain, for rally and any other nonsense. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Doubts, concepts, applications, no problem. All explained through great and significant animation. So sit back comfortably in your home and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So students, let us start with the exercise of reaching at the age of adolescence. So here question number 1 is, what is the term used for secretions of endocrine glands responsible for changes taking place in the body? So students, hormones are the chemical substances which are secreted by endocrine glands and they are responsible for changes taking place inside the body. It changes a child to an adult. Now, next question, define adolescence. As students, earlier we have discussed about that this is a transition period from childhood to an adulthood. And this, what is this period? In this period, body undergoes several changes along with the reproductive maturity. And adolescents, who are the adolescents? So the girls and boys which goes through these phases are called the adolescent. This age is also called, adolescents are also called the teenagers. Why? Because this period includes 13 to 9 years of age. Whereas students, girls matures faster 1 or 2 years faster than the boys. But moreover, it also varies from person to person or individual to individual. Now next question, what is menstruation? Explain. So students, it begins in a girls at the age of puberty. What happens in this? This period includes when an ovum releases from ovary. So what happens at that time? The wall of uterine gets thickened to receive that egg. And when this egg does not fertilize with sperm, so it leads to a bleeding. And because of that, there is a shed off of uterine wall along with ovum and blood vessels. It takes place for 4 to 6 days and this cycle includes 28 to 30 days. So this is all about the menstruation. Now next question, list changes takes place in the body that takes place at puberty. So students, as earlier we have discussed that there are a lot of changes takes place at the age of puberty, like sudden growth in height. Like what happens here? The bones of hands and legs get elongate and makes the person tall. Other than this, if we talk about the changes in boys, so here change takes place in their voice. What happens there? The larynx box increases in size. Because of that, voice gets the deeper voice and a prominent lump can be seen from the throat, that is called the Adam's apple. Other than this, we can see the growth of mustaches, beard and facial hair. Other than this, their shoulders become more broader and chest become more wider. And in girls, development of breast takes place. Other than this, the region below the pelvic becomes more wider. So these are the changes in boys and girls we can see. Other than this, if we talk about the both girls and boys, so growth of hair under arms and pubic region takes place. So these are the changes. Other than this, development of sex organs takes place in both boys and girls. So these are the changes takes place at the age of puberty in boys and girls. Now, other than the sex hormones like testes and ovaries, these are the endocrine glands which releases the hormone testosterone, and ovary releases the hormone estrogen and progesterone. So these hormones are responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in boys and girls. So students, our next question is, prepare a table having 2 columns depicting names of endocrine glands and hormones secreted by them. So students, as earlier we have discussed about the hormones, endocrine glands and the hormones secreted by them. So how you have to make the table? Firstly, you have to write the number of endocrine glands and the hormones secreted by them. So students, let us start with the pituitary gland. So students, pituitary gland is the master gland of the body and it releases the hormone, growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone. Now next, is thyroid gland. So thyroid gland releases the hormone thyroxine. Next, adrenal gland. So adrenal gland releases the hormone adrenaline or epinephrine. Next, endocrine gland, pancreas. So pancreas releases the hormone insulin. Next, testis. In male body, their reproductive organ, there is a endocrine gland, that is the testis, and releases the hormone testosterone. And if you talk about the girl's reproductive organ, so here the endocrine gland is ovary, that releases the hormone estrogen and progesterone. So these are the endocrine glands and their hormones. But other than this, students, what are the functions of these hormones? So if we talk about the pituitary gland, it releases the hormone, growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone. So growth hormone is responsible for the for the growth and development of the body, and thyroid stimulating hormone is responsible for the stimulation of thyroxine hormone. Next, thyroid gland. So thyroid gland releases the hormone thyroxine. It regulates the body temperature and also responsible for the growth and development of the body. Adrenaline gland, also called the gland of emergency, and it releases the hormone adrenaline or epinephrine, that is called the fight or flight hormone. So what is its role? It makes the person to prepare the person for the emergency situation. Other than this, pancreas releases the hormone insulin, which is responsible for the maintenance of blood sugar level in the person. Other than this, if we talk about the testis in male reproductive organ, so this endocrine gland releases the hormone testosterone, which is responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics, in development of secondary sexual characteristics in male, whereas the endocrine gland present in female reproductive body, which releases the hormone estrogen and progesterone, which are responsible for the growth of secondary sexual characteristics in female. So students, it was all about the endocrine glands, its hormone and their function. Now next question, what are sex hormones and why are they named so? State their function. So students, as earlier we have discussed that what are the sex hormones. So these are the testosterone and estrogen and progesterone, and if we talk about the testis, and these sex hormones are responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in male and female, as testis releases the hormone testosterone, which is responsible for the secondary sexual development of secondary sexual characteristics in male, whereas ovary releases the hormone estrogen and progesterone, that is responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in females. Now next question, choose the correct option. Here question number A, adolescents should be careful about what they eat because. So options are proper diet develops their brains. Second, proper diet is needed for the rapid growth taking place in their body. Third option is adolescents feel hungry all the time. Fourth, taste buds are well developed in teenagers. So students, the answer will be second option, proper diet is needed for the rapid growth taking place in their body. Now next question is reproductive age in women starts when their first option, menstruation starts. Second, breasts start developing. Third, body weight increases. Fourth, height increases. So students, the option number 1, that is menstruation starts. Next, the right meal for adolescents consists of. So students, here option is chips, noodles, cake. The second option is chapati, dal, vegetables. Next option, rice, noodles and burger. And the last option is vegetable, cutlets, chips and lemon drink. So students, here the option number 2, chapati, dal, vegetables. Why? Because these food includes all the components of nutrients which is required for the adolescents. Now next question is, write short note on Adam's apple. So students, as earlier we have discussed about what is Adam's apple. So students, as we have discussed about the voice change place in male. So why it happens? Because of enlargement of their larynx or voice box. So because of this increasement, we can see a prominent lump nearby the throat. This is called the Adam's apple. And because of that, boys at the age of adolescence, sometimes boys get the hoarse voice, and it was all about the Adam's apple. And because of that only, boys gets the deeper voice. Now, next question is secondary sexual characteristics. So, what are the, we can write the notes on this, like if we talk about the male and female at the age of adolescence. So, this is the age when secondary sexual characteristics develop in boys and girls. It is the age of puberty. So, what are the secondary sexual characteristics? If we talk about the boys, so we can see growth of facial hair, body, mustaches and beard. We can see the broadening of shoulders, widening of chest. These are the second characteristics in boys. Other than this, we can see the deeper voice. In girls, development of breast takes place. So these are the secondary sexual characters in boys and girls. But if we talk about the both, so development of hairs in underarms and pubic region is also a characteristics of secondary sexual characters. Now, next question, sex determination in unborn baby. So students, if we talk about the sex determination, as we know that development of baby takes place inside the mother's womb. So what are the factors which are responsible for the developing baby, like what he is going to be, male or female? So students, the chromosomes are responsible determining the characteristics of male and female. So these are the thread-like structures which carries the information in the form of genes. As nuclei contains 23 pairs of chromosomes, in which one set of chromosome is called the sex chromosomes. So if we talk about the female, so it consists X and X pair, and in male it is X and Y. So students, why we are saying that X and XY? Because of their shape. So chromosomes X is responsible for the female development of female, and X and Y, these are the sperms, these are the chromosomes which are present in the male. So students, as when developed the gametes, it divided into X and X, and the sperm of male contains the X chromosome and Y chromosome. So when ovum releases X chromosome, so what happens? When this ovum fertilizes with the sperm egg containing X chromosome, so the resulting developing baby will be a girl. But when ovum that contains X chromosome fertilizes with the sperm containing Y chromosomes, so the developing baby will become a boy. So students, it was all about the sex determination in the unborn baby. So students, what in this chapter we have discussed about the reaching at the age of adolescence. So what we have seen, that there is a lot of changes takes place inside the boys and girls, and this period is called the adolescence. That is a period of reproductive maturity. So because of that, because of these changes takes place inside the body, some adolescents feel insecure. But students, you know that adolescent age is considered to be a golden phase in one's life, because it is filled with the full of fun and enjoyment. So instead of feeling insecure, you should enjoy this phase. Thank you, students.